The world didn't end with a bang, but with the soft, definitive click of the front door latch. I came home on a Tuesday to a silence that was different. A hollowed-out silence scraped clean of life. Sarah's favorite vase was gone from the entryway table, and the living room rug we'd picked out together was missing, leaving pale, ghostly rectangles on the hardwood floor. My heart began a frantic, hammering rhythm against my ribs as I called out for my wife and daughter, my voice echoing back at me in the stillness. I found the note on the kitchen island, a single sheet of paper propped against a fruit bowl with 2 overripe bananas. Its words, "I can't do this anymore. I've taken. Lily, don't try to find us. It's over. We're so clean and simple." They failed to capture the cataclysmic violence of the act. The floor seemed to liquefy under my feet as I sank onto a stool, the paper trembling in my hand. The most absurd, cruelest part was the command not to find them. Asifa Fateris. Entire being wasn't a homing beacon for his child. The subsequent calls to her family and friends revealed a symphony of awkward pauses and rehearsed sympathy. They had all known, and I was the last one in the theater who didn't know the show was over. The real devastation arrived the next morning with a panicked call from my CFO. The company I had built from a sketch on a napkin into a multi-million-dollar tech firm was in free fall. Overnight, our major accounts had evaporated, and our proprietary code, the lifeblood of our security software, had been a rival company, Aethylarid Technologies, led by a man I once considered a friend, Carl Evers, had launched a near-identical product, undercutting us and obliterating our value. The connection was undeniable. My wife lebs. My company collapses. The police were useless, calling it a civil matter, and the private investigator I hired hit a brick wall, stating they had covered their tracks like ghosts. I lost everything. The house was foreclosed, and I moved into a cramped apartment that smelled of stale cigarettes and defeat. The days bled into a monochrome parade of grief and a cold, simmering rage. I was a phantom haunting the ruins of my own life, kept warm only by the knot of fury in my gut, the one thing they couldn't take. Revenge isn't a sudden impulse. It's a seed that needs the dark and the quiet to grow. I stopped trying to find where they'd gone and started figuring out how they'd done it, obsessively replaying every conversation in detail from the last year. Then I remembered the key. Months before she left, Sarah had complained about losing her house keys, and we'd had a new set made with a little electronic fob. I thought nothing of it at the time, but the memory now itched at me. I spent my last savings on a high-end data recovery service to pull the cloud backup from my old phone. And there it was in the log of our home's smart lock system. A new unknown key fob registered at 2:14 a.m. on a night I was in Chicago on business. The admin user was listed as me, but I hadn't been there. Carl must have taken my key, cloned the fob, and returned it before I ever knew it was gone. He had a key to my house and access to my life while I slept in a hotel room hundreds of miles away. The seed of revenge finally sprouted, its vine twisting around my heart. They had used technology to betray me, and I would use it to destroy them. I still had one thing they didn't know about: a backdoor in our home security system, a piece of code I'd written myself that fed all audio and video to a private, encrypted server. It was a paranoid failsafe I'd never told anyone about, not even Sarah, and I'd forgotten it myself until the fury forced me to remember. It took 2 weeks to find their new IP address, leading me to a sleek, modern house in Santa Fe. Carl's house. I accessed the feed and saw them living my life. Sarah laughing in a kitchen bigger and brighter than ours. Carl pouring expensive wine with his arm around her waist, and my Lele taller now with longer hair, playing with a new doll on an unfamiliar rug. A part of me, the father, screamed in silent agony, but the avenger in me grew cold and still. I listened for days, learning their routines, Carl's paranoia about his new business, and Sarah's burgeoning boredom. I learned the date of their big party, the 1-year anniversary of Ethylid's miraculous product launch, the night they would celebrate their victory over me. When the night arrived, the house was full of laughter and clinking glasses. I watched from my dark apartment as Carl, smug and triumphant, prepared to give a speech. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, the knot in my stomach turning to ice. This was the moment I would get my daughter back, not by snatching her, but by showing her the truth. I activated the command, and in the Santa Fe house, every smart speaker, television, and connected device crackled to life. My voice, calm and clear, filled the rooms, drowning out the music and chatter.
"Hello, Carl? Hello?"
The party froze, The party froze. On the video feed, I saw Carla's face morph from confusion to horror and Sarah's hand fly to her mouth. I continued, "A year ago, you took everything from me. My wife, my daughter, my company. You thought you were clever. You thought you'd won." I could feel their panic through the screen, a physical warmth in my cold apartment. I played the audio log from the smart lock system, the digital time stomp echoing through their home, proving Carl's treachery. Then, I played a recorded phone conversation where Carl explicitly discussed the stolen code and the plan to bankrupt me. The crowd of investors, colleagues, and friends stared in stunned silence as their host was exposed as a thief. "You took my family and my fortune," I whispered, "but you forgot. A father with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous man in the world." I ended the transmission, leaving the screens black and the house in absolute silence. I didn't need to see any more. The fallout was swift. Carl was arrested for corporate espionage and fraud within a week. His company collapsed, and the house was seized. The beautiful life they'd built on my ruins crumbled to dust. The custody hearing was short, and the judge granted me full custody. The day I brought my daughter home, she hugged me and whispered, "I missed you, Daddy." I held her tight, the cold knot in my stomach finally beginning to thaw. They had tried to bury me, not knowing I was a seed. Now, I am the forest.